think we're gonna work more on the fitment of the transmission and engine in the transmission tunnel. Honestly, I think I'm probably gonna end up removing that brace altogether because it's just causing issues with the fitment and everything. That transmission needs to go up, and that brace is not allowing it to, and I think I probably need to shape the transmission tunnel a little bit with a body hammer to allow it a little more space too. I haven't gotten that far yet. I'm just kind of hypothesizing. I'm guessing that's what I will have to do. It won't be major or anything. I'm not gonna do any cutting. There's some weird, waves and shapes and bumps in the transmission tunnel, and if you just take a hammer to it a little bit, it'll help it out. So we need to tuck that transmission way up in that tunnel as much as we can without contacting the body and causing noise or anything like that. Metal on metal contact is not good. I want to show you guys something that will help us remove that brace. That thing's attached with what you call spot welds. And for you, those of you that don't know spot welds, I've never actually spot welded. Basically a circular weld that acts as like a glue, but it's not a bead. It just melts the metal together at that point. And in order to remove that, you have to drill a hole in the center of that circle and use a bit to chew up the outside edge, basically freeze it from that spot. So what you gotta do is get yourself one of these tools. I bought this from Harbor Freight. I've used quite a few of these bits. As you can see, there's only 2. It has these teeth, right? Put it on these bits. As you can see, there's a point to the bit. I don't know, it's kind of out of focus, but there's a point, and you put that point in the pilot hole that you drill, and then you hit it with the, you turn your drill, and the outer teeth piece cut the weld, and then it releases whatever material you have attached. So that is basically how we will remove the brace if it comes down to that, which I think it is. I was laying under here earlier, and I can see it's clearly at the top edge there. Here's a picture. I tried to capture that as best as I could. You can see it's just, there's those little nubs on the transmission there. And you can just see that's right where it's touching. So once we remove that should allow us to move the transmission up in the tunnel. Another thing too, as you guys saw in the previous video, okay, I moved the engine and transmission forward quite a bit, and you can see where it's still landing such that the shifter is going to be in the rear part of the shifter hole, but I've decided I'm not going to move it forward, and it's actually going to come back. So I'm thinking I might have to modify the shifter hole. I really don't want to keep it in this position. I want to move it back towards the firewall. Unfortunately, that would mean I would have to modify this console hole. It's kind of tricky without having the actual shifter in the car to determine where it's going to land. There's a relocation bracket which basically puts it right about here, like on this edge. I guess if I were to kind of visualize the shifter coming up right at this point, coming up. Here's where the transmission and engine sit right now. We got quite a bit of room. It's not terrible. We're still pretty much behind the cross member, but we're getting close in the oil pan there. Like I said, I don't think it's gonna land here. I'm gonna move it back to back right up against the firewall there. That's just kind of where we're gonna start with this episode. First order of business is to get this engine and transmission out of the way so I can cut that brace piece. So another thing, it's kind of hard to see where the welds are with this black paint on here. I might just grab my wire brush wheel, grind off this surface so that we can make it super clear where those are at. So as you can see, these are the spot welds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. For those of you that aren't familiar with spot welds, what they look like, there you go. Arms get so tired. What I'll go ahead and do is take a white paint pen and mark all the spot welds, and then I'll do a center punch, pilot hole, and then remove those spot welds. There. I picked up a punch kit, and I have this punch I've had forever, but for those of you that aren't familiar with this process, with this tool, you will put it on a surface and you whack the end of a hammer. It creates a little dimple. We got all of our dimples made. We'll drill a small little pilot hole. Now, just a word of warning, unless you go all the way through on every single one, it's very likely that a lot of those joints are gonna stick. So don't be alarmed if it doesn't just fall off. That's just kind of the nature of the beast. But you wanna try and get all the way through each of the welds. Okay.
I think we got all of them. I'm trying to see if there's any shallow ones we might have missed, but they're all pretty healthy. The cuts anyway. Let's see if we can chisel these out. We're splitting it right now with the chisel. Oh, I just want to pull it off. I have a slight change in plans I'm going to try to attempt, but trying to just take this off by opening up the spot welds is just tearing up the backside, the transmission tunnel metal. So I'm going to stop doing that way right here, because this looks like complete dog shit. Like we're putting holes in the metal. It's just not good. So what I am going to instead do is take a grinder on this side, starting on this side, and just cut it off and leave this flange. Or if it wants to come off, it can come off, but I don't want to tear up the car like that. That's just bad. Let's grab the grinder and do that. This is why I would not suggest the spot welding, cutting. Just cut the hump off and be done with it, because this is just tearing the living hell out of the transmission tunnel metal. I might have to end up replacing, like doing a patch panel if I'm not able to salvage this by doing a little welding. There's a lot of crap going on here, so just FYI, I'm learning too. That's how it should come off. Obviously this isn't too pretty, but it is what it is. Like I talked about, this did not go well. Tore up this area. There's some holes here. I'll weld up and patch and fill. And at this point, I want to try and putting the transmission up, see how close we can tuck it up against the body here. All right, guys. Sorry, I kind of stopped recording and then realized I didn't have my gear on, and so I'm back. Since I had the camera off my head, I actually removed the shift linkage because it was getting in the way of putting the engine up in the car. Not just this portion, it was like the extended linkage piece. So grabbed a punch, pushed that out, and now we should be good. I want to stick this back up in the car. I beat the transmission tunnel just a little bit, not much. Just a little flexing occurred when we were pulling on it when removing that brace. So let's give this a shot. And as you can see, this is where it looks like it's contacting right here, which you can see the body moving when I touch it. It's kind of funny. I'd actually have to go down just a little bit. You know, hopefully you guys can see that, but it's just barely. It's just those two bolt holes. Comment below. Tell me what you think. It fits pretty nice in here, really, considering all things. Might need to beat that out a little bit. It looks like it's contacting there too, but. All right, guys, that's all I got for this one. I know we didn't do a whole lot in this particular episode, but I promise you I expended myself. That took a lot of work to go through the whole brace removal process and then switch gears after we decided to avoid the spot weld removal route after tearing up the transmission tunnel a little bit. You guys know what went down. I don't have to explain it. So transmission fitment is coming along nicely. I think we can still do a little bit more fine tuning, but that's kind of where it sits. I appreciate you guys watching. Like I said, not super exciting today, but these are all like nitty gritty things that's got to be done to get us on our way to that 2J in there. I think the next step for this is fine-tuning that fitment, just kind of seeing where the contact points are and then getting our shifter on order and figuring that out. If you like this stuff, hit that subscribe button below. It'll automatically notify you of new videos I put out. If you like this video, hit that thumbs up below. If you didn't like it, hit the thumbs down. But I appreciate you guys watching. We'll see you in the next one.